It's no wonder Grey's just became the longest-running primetime medical drama of all time.
Oh!
And next Thursday...
How many days left?
To what?
Till I stop taking orders from you.
The record-breaking streak continues.
Almost sounds too good to be true.
With more news breaking.
Those are freaks.
Are what?
Kids.
Are you pregnant and you didn't tell me?
Rule breaking.
Well, that's poetic.
And heartbreaking.
I choose you. That's never changed.
No, it did change. Everything changed.
All new Grey's Anatomy. Next Thursday on ABC.
Hey guys, so as I said last week, going forward to discuss Grey's Anatomy, we'll do a trailer and episode review video together. So first we'll talk about We Didn't Start the Fire, and then we'll talk about the trailer. I have many thoughts on the trailer because I didn't think it was that good. So this episode, the 332nd episode of Grey's Anatomy, allowing it to surpass ER as the longest primetime running medical drama. That's fantastic. And fantastic is a word I would use to describe this episode in its entirety because the acting, the writing, and the directing was fantastic. It was just so beautifully done. And I think this episode sets the standard for the remaining 10 episodes with writing, because if they are all not as good as this episode, they are not living up to the hype that this episode essentially created. It was just so well constructed. And what's really interesting about this episode is there's really one storyline. I mean, technically, you know, you have like Helen Karev coming to meet Alex, and you have Bailey and Catherine chilling in the limo, but everything comes together so fast that those storylines are all congruent, and they're all essentially taking place in Jackson's apartment, which is really the nexus of this episode. So I really like that, and I'm honestly okay going forward if every character is in the same room or in the same area working on the same case and whatnot. I just think it allowed for such synchronicity. I don't know if that's a word, but a synchronization. It just allowed for such a perfect synchronization of storylines that I was blown away. And I really am looking forward to the remaining 10 episodes of this season. But I would say this episode is probably the best. It's so well done. And the director was Andy Reeser. And, the writer was Andy Reeser. The director was Chandra Wilson. And Andy Reeser did such a great job. I would have him write your season finale for this season because it was perfect. I have a feeling Krista Vernoff is going to be writing this season's finale, but I would have him be either a script doctor or a co-writer because I was blown away by how well this episode was constructed. And what's interesting is you really just have all the characters kind of dealing with their own personal problems, but everyone is aware of the personal problems throughout the episode. And I kind of liked it. No, I know I've been talking, actually, I really liked it. I didn't kind of like it. I really, really liked it. And I know I've been talking about it in my other reviews where it's interesting and it's a nice break from the norm where you kind of have the characters, you know, do their own things and, you know, not come together at the end. But maybe because it was so refreshing because that's been the norm for so long that this should be the remaining norm for the next 10 episodes. I just think it was beautiful. It was just so beautiful and so well constructed. So as opposed to going storyline by storyline, because every storyline was blended, we're just going to talk about the episode as it went down. And essentially, we have Helen Karev coming to the hospital. There's a little confusion by Hellmouth talking to Alex because she says to Alex that Miss Karev's here, and he goes, "That's Doctor." And then he says, "Just have Dr. Karev meet me at the party." And he thinks when Hellmouth talks to him about Mrs. Karev, she's talking about Joe. Obviously, she was not. And then you have Owen losing Leo to Betty's parents, and you know Owen is essentially heartbroken by this. And then you have Maggie dealing with I believe her name was Mimi, writing that article and her being just livid over it. And then at the same time you have Catherine and Bailey talking about money and them bonding, which is great because those two characters, you know, they kind of had some, they weren't you know, tete-a-tete or arguing a lot, but they weren't gonna, you couldn't see them being the best of friends, and here they are bonding. And then Richard's just kind of there bouncing around. Jackson's more or less bouncing around too. Then you have Teddy and Karasik come up, and Teddy dating Karasik we all knew would cause Owen to go insane, and it did, rightfully so. And then you have Meredith and DeLuca hooking up, which was well, awesome because it's Meredith. I ship it. It's essentially the new Meredith to me. So as those are like, what each character is dealing with. But because the episode blended so well together, all the storylines just really, to me, stuck. It was all together. It allowed for no confusion. I knew specifically what was going on, but I was never thinking, what's going on with Meredith right now? Well, Teddy is talking to Owen, because I knew where she was. I knew essentially what was happening, and I really knew that not enough drama or progression or story plot line could be happening while Meredith was in the other room. So that's why I think this episode is so pivotal to the Grey's Anatomy writing style going forward. So essentially, let's just talk about Owen, Amelia, Teddy, and Karasik. Owen can't stand the fact that Karasik is with Teddy. Teddy likes Karasik, and Amelia gives Owen a fantastic speech about how she can't be in this love triangle anymore. And I like the fact that she got a love circle, because Owen is either with him, with her, or with Teddy. And it was a beautiful, impactful speech by Katerina Scorso. And also right after that speech, Richard walked in on Meredith and DeLuca making out in the guest room. That was hilarious. And it's like Meredith being caught by her own father. It was just perfect. So following that, Maggie is just angry and angry and angry and angry, and it's adorable. Kelly McKerry's acting was perfect, but like, she didn't have to do anything dramatic. This was just playing up Kelly McKerry's perfect humorous side, and I really like that. And you have Weber, James Pickett Jr., very good in the dramatic and the comedy, but here he was more or less fully in the comedic side of his acting skills. I've never seen him actually kind of jump around from comedic to dramatic in the same episode that I can recall offhand. But Kelly McKerry is versatile in her acting, where she can jump. I don't think James Pickett Jr. wants to jump. I think he just likes to stay in that character because it doesn't allow him to break his concentration. But overall, I liked his support of Maggie. And then you have Helen, Karev, and Alex and Joe kind of freaking out about her, wondering, if her schizophrenia is, I don't want to say acting up, but that's the only term or phrase I can really think about it. And it wasn't. So, I really just like the bonding between Alex and his mother. And at the end of the episode, when Alex introduces her to Meredith, I kind of wish that they got to talk a little bit more, but that was really nice. What I really liked about this episode was during the scene where Owen is so furious at Karasik for being involved in Teddy's life, where he punches Karasik and says, "You'll never be a father." And because we all know, given, I believe it was episode 12, where Catherine had the surgery, it was at 12 or 11, I'm sorry if I'm forgetting which one it was. But, we find out when he's talking to God, essentially, about his son, or he's talking to his son while he's in the church, and saying, your dad did a great job today, you would be proud. And then we learned that he was a father and that he lost his child, and to have Owen say to him, "You'll never be a father," or "You're not a father," and then that punch was so well deserved. And I was like, you go, Karasik. But at the end of the episode, Owen's massive amounts of pain was due to losing Leo, and no one really wanted to see him lose Leo. And at the end of the episode, he got him back, and I didn't expect it. I really expected Leo and Betty to both be written out, but to have the parents realize that they can't raise a baby and essentially keep Betty Brittany clean was so refreshing. To not have, Grey's Anatomy, it pulls at your heartstrings and allows you to feel loss and feel sadness even though you don't want to. You get so attached to these characters, and not that I was attached to the character of Leo, but I was attached to Owen's attachment of him. That's also a massive tribute to Kevin McKidd's acting. But for these parents to realize that they can't do both, and that Leo is better off with Owen was beautiful. Like, I was so happy when Owen came back when Owen got Leo back. It was just a beautiful scene. I mean, each scene was just so well constructed, so well timed, so well acted. And even Meredith and Amelia got to have more bonding time, which was great too. Earlier in the episode, where Amelia is upset about Owen because of the loss of Betty and Owen's reaction to it and how Owen is treating her. I was really happy that Katerina Scorso and Ellen Pompeo got to interact, because they haven't had too much interaction on screen this season. So I just enjoyed everything that really happened. And then the Lucas scene with Meredith, the several scenes of them were great. One scene I really liked was when, after they got caught, they were trying to act normal, and Meredith essentially caused the fire to happen. Hilarious. So I mean, I know my review's a little scattered, but the episode, it's kind of, unless I went literally scene by scene or dialogue by dialogue, or I guess line by line, the review would last a whole 40 minutes because I would have to give essentially 3 minutes per time. I can't think of per section of the show, and no one wants to listen to a 40-minute Grey's Anatomy review, I think. So overall, I just loved what we got. I thought it was just a beautifully written, beautifully directed, and beautifully acted episode. So good. I really am looking forward to the remaining episodes of this season. And now, speaking of the remaining episodes, I want to talk about Blood and Water. So the episode description reads, Meredith finds herself having to side with either Alex or DeLuca during a difficult situation, but she doesn't want to betray either of them. Meanwhile, Maggie reveals details about her personal life that could cause a public stir, and Levi struggles whether or not to tell his family about Nico. So this is the Levi and Nico storyline. I think it's actually really interesting because I don't think he hasn't come out to his family as far as we know. So that could be very impactful and pull out a lot of heartstrings with viewers, particularly those who are LGBT and need to expose their families to their relationships. I think that'll be a really, even though I don't ship Schmiko, I think it'll be a cool and interesting storyline to watch. We saw that with Callie in Arizona when Callie had to introduce Arizona to her parents and see her mother and father's reaction to it. Her mother had the negative reaction, which I think caused fans quite a stir, especially in 2019. If like that episode aired now, I think a lot of people would be like, Callie's mother's a monster. Well, the father was a lot more accepting. Maggie talking about her personal life. Well, that's more or less because she's angry. She was angry about that article that was written in the prior episode. She's trying to write more about herself and get it out there, and I could see why that would cause a stir. More or less, Kelly McKeer is going to have to deal with some fallout and some drama, and I am looking forward to seeing... She's more or less going to be getting into a foolish situation, I imagine, and I think it's going to be great. Meredith finds herself to side with Alex or DeLuca, and she doesn't want to betray either of them. I mean, honestly, she's going to choose Alex. Like, one of the problems, or one of the... I don't want to call it a character default because it just shows Meredith's loyalty, but when it comes to her person, she's like massively loyal to them. Like she will choose the person over her partner. You could see her choose Christina over Derek because there was several episodes in the earlier seasons when Derek and Christina and Meredith were all together, and she would choose Christina. And Alex is her person, and DeLuca and her just started dating, and even though she probably doesn't want to wreck her relationship with DeLuca, she's gonna end up picking DeLuca. I'm sorry, Alex. She's going to end up picking Alex. But I want to talk about DeLuca really quick because I didn't talk about the teaser at the end of the episode, of episode 15. Karina comes back. I love Karina. She's great. I really liked her with Arizona. But to have Karina come back and then introduce his father, who they talked about in episode 9 of this season, is really cool. And so this is where I think the trailer is massively misleading because they have a scene of Bailey talking to Alex about, getting back the position of being chief of surgery. Like, was that needed? Where you could have the three storylines that are written in this episode description are so detailed and so interesting. The fact that this trailer is cut to be more of a comedy, like it reminded me more of a Friends promo or a Big Bang promo, a Big Bang Theory promo. And I don't watch Big Bang Theory, but I've seen the promos for the show. I like to look at how different networks market their properties. And I was just like, this trailer is just cut so badly. You have Alex and Joe and Helen's in the next episode, which I thought was really nice. And they talk about how Alex and Joe, in their is dealing with the mother bringing baby clothes. And Joe's like, are you pregnant? Because I guess Joe doesn't want children. But I feel like she kind of does. I think babies are going to happen with Alex and Joe. So I like the fact that Alex's mom is in the episode. But the trailer is hyping up humor, which I love. I liked how humorous and dramatic episode 15 of the season was, but the trailer could have done Alex and Joe's storyline, and then it could have done Meredith and DeLuca and Alex storyline, like kind of like really focus on Alex, which I think would be a really cool way to cut the trailer. But then at the end of the trailer, you have Amelia talking to Owen, essentially saying she doesn't want to be with him. And I was like, that makes sense. Like, why would you want to be with him? He's kind of been an asshole to you. He's as great as Owen is. Like, this episode made me kind of dislike Owen a little bit, particularly with the way, he punched Karasik because he doesn't know Karasik's story. And I get why he doesn't like Karasik. But him just being so belligerent and so unaccepting of him into him being really resentful to Amelia and not wanting to talk about his emotions. But again, I get it because it's just his character. And it's just a tribute to how good Kevin McKidd's acting is for me to go from disliking Owen, or from liking Owen to disliking him so quickly. But at this moment, I'm just Team Amelia when it comes to the two of them. And I don't even think Towan could happen at this point because of just how he's been treating both Amelia and Teddy. Like, I don't think either of them want to be with him. Though I still think in the grand spectrum of the season, Towan is going to be endgame. But overall, I just really thought the drama with Alex and Bailey, and the drama of Alex and Joe with Alex's mother, and then, you know, the drama of Amelia and Owen, it looks cool, but it's just the trailer is cut to be so funny that it pulls away from the amazing storylines that are in the episode description. I think the trailer just could have been cut better. But I'm all for seeing more scenes. I just think that when you have a trailer for a show that is, as Grey's Anatomy is, a drama and a comedy. I mean, it is a drama, but comedy is in its lifeblood at this point. You got to hype up both or give the drama, because I'm not watching Grey's 100% for the comedy. I like the comedy in the episodes, but I just don't think it's always needed unless you get a second promo or a longer trailer. I don't think to have the comedy in a 30-second promo is 100% needed, particularly when you have some really not dark, but intense storylines in this episode. So overall, I think Blood and Water will be good. I need to see a little bit more. Just a little bit more promotion. There's been some promotional pics that look interesting. Actually, let me pull... I mean, they're on the side, but let me just quickly give them another glance, because, I mean, overall, I think that the promo pics, they look cool for the episode, but they always look cool. The Grey's Anatomy is just always so well constructed. But it's just really, you know, DeLuca and Meredith talking, or Alex and Meredith talking. So it's not really showing anything that's, you know, it's relevant, but it's not. It's nothing this conversation. Obviously, they're discussing the issue at hand between the two. That's the gripe between Alex and DeLuca. But it's like, you don't even know what the gripe is. So overall, I just think that episode 16 could use a little bit more marketing, maybe a sneak peek. I think at this point they need to start releasing sneak peeks because episode 15 was just so good. Give me more Greys. So overall, very, very happy with episode 15. Looking forward to episode 16. Just not a massive fan of the trailer. And I'm curious what you guys have to say about both. Leave those comments below. Very long Grey's Anatomy video. Thank you so much for watching with me, and we'll talk real soon. All right, guys. Bye.